So, I've had a couple of folks drive by me pretty loud and honk their horns, stuff like that. Just piddly stuff to make sure I stay awake, don't get no sleep. We're gonna talk about just one of my trolls on my channel. He's made quite a few accounts and he fessed up to it. He admitted to which accounts are his, the Ativan accounts, the 666 accounts. It was just him and his friend as far as the group that he was doing it with. At least he fessed up to it, you know? Not like it matters. I've got a lot of evidence of those accounts. And it, like he was pointing out, it's not just him, and a lot of people were doing stuff that's a lot meaner. Now he said, you know, it's, if you put yourself out there on the internet, you got to expect people are going to fuck with you. And, you know, they were just doing it in good fun. And it may seem like that, you know, but it's not in good fun. It doesn't feel that way to the person who's having to take it. And I get that you and your friends are just a couple of folks doing it, that you're not responsible for every person who does these things, that you're not committing every single one of these acts. And, you know, fessing up not just to the fact that you were doing it, but also to which accounts were yours. That does go with a lot of the accounts that I have, you know. It's not like you're trying to hide it. And I'm thankful for that, and I'm grateful for that, because I go out of my way not to hide anything. Learning about a lot of different medical stuff, that's something that's always been important to me. So when people start talking about things like that, I totally get interested, and I sit and I listen. I'm definitely not a doctor by any means. Now, with the feller who was making the Ativan accounts, identifying himself and admitting that it was him, and that it wasn't, how do I say this? It wasn't something where he intended the amount of harm. For him, it was just a bit of messing with me over the years, but it's actually been over 5 years on this account. Now, these started coming about 4.5 to 5 years ago. I mean, it's been a while since they've been going on. They started happening around the same time as the Ted Burner accounts. But I can respect somebody who fesses up to their shit. He was talking about how that it's pretty obvious that I am being stalked, that I am being assaulted, that people are hitting me in my vehicle. And, well, he said hitting my vehicle. I'm not sure, you know, how much of the evidence he's actually taken a look at. And, you know, he says for the most part, he doesn't really care. But he thinks what's happening to me is fucked up. Because I am actually being assaulted. I am actually being harassed and stalked. I don't approach that guy. He approaches me every time. I don't go looking for his place. I don't go up to him and talk shit everywhere that he goes. I don't actually have the ability to follow him everywhere he goes. So one of the things that people so often say is that they can't do anything. Well, that's what makes them powerless. You may not be able to do anything alone, but you can use your voice no matter what. You don't have to be rich to use your voice. But I do understand that if you're poor, you have to be afraid to use your voice, especially alone. It does get you targeted, just like having to post it on the internet will get you targeted. But I can respect somebody who fesses up to the fact that they screwed up or they did something wrong or that they were somebody who committed an act, even if they don't see the harm in it. A lot of people say they can't do anything. Well, your voice is what is important here. Your voice is what matters. Some of that evidence that you've seen, you can type up a little letter and post some links to those things in it, and you can send that letter, that very same letter, out to hundreds of different places. Or just one or two. It's all up to you. It depends on what you're willing to send out. There's a lot of videos of me protecting others, and I'm pretty good at protecting others without getting violent, without having to hit people. There's a video on my channel, it's called Jamie Again. That situation happened in the Dalles, Oregon, where a disabled woman was being assaulted by someone a lot bigger than her. And I did what I usually do in those situations. I make a really loud, sharp noise. The intention there is very similar to when a dog does something wrong. You want to get the dog's attention, and you want it to be brought to you sharply and quickly. Basically, startle them with the sound of your voice. Now, in that video, Jamie Again, when that man follows Jamie, and when she's facing him yelling, he's just walking about her pace, maybe even a little slower. But he makes up for it. The 2 times that she turns her back on him, he runs up on her. The first time he runs up on her because she's got her back turned, she turns around and he stops. And then she turned around again and he started running again and punched her in the back of the head. About 30 people there. Probably about 3/4 of them are in better physical shape than me, strangely. I used to be in excellent physical health. He also speaks about how he's got no advocacy. He's got nobody to speak for him. Well, that's a damn shame. Same boat. You know, I'd rather be playing Star Trek Online. I'd rather be flying around in Zukovsky's I-153 in War Thunder. I'd rather be hanging out with my older brother in Boulder, Colorado. There's a lot of things I would rather be doing. A lot of people say they can't do anything because they have no money. They can't do anything because they have a past. But really, they can't do anything because they've already decided they can't do anything. A lot of these folks are at the end of their lives. They're having their own lifelong issues or life short issues. My mother died back in October, just a few days after my birthday. And a lot of us are losing loved ones like that, ain't we? Now, this feller typed in something into an AI program, and it popped up some artwork, and he tagged my gamer tag name in it at Dogged Roman. So it let me know that he had made them. And so I went to his YouTube channel and typed on there to him on a live feed that he's got going on right now. I typed to him, I suppose I should be flattered. And yeah, I know people are going to poke fun. I know that. The major issue isn't the people who are poking fun online. It's the sheer quantity of it. See, it's not one or two people on the internet that make it a big issue. It's the fact that there is literally hundreds of them. It's also the fact that I take abuse in real life every day. It's not just Wolnez. One thing I believe in wholeheartedly is repenting. That means professing my sins by mouth and trying to do something about any damage it may have caused. And now there's some damage that you can't fix. When somebody's life is over, it's over. You cannot fix dead. Once their brain ceases functioning, they're no longer there. One thing I know is that we have one life to make a difference in. That's all we get. We can either make it all about us, or we can make it about the bigger picture, the future for our loved ones when we're gone. Now, for somebody who's already on his or her way out, say they got stage 3 cancer or stage 4 cancer, or maybe they got a issue with their lymph nodes that is creating a toxin in their body, and they don't have long because it's irreversible. There's a lot of different things that people have, and I look a lot of this stuff up, and some of it I'm familiar with. Like there's one word, akathisia, and I can't pronounce it right because I have no teeth. But it's something that a lot of people who grew up on medications end up with. Basically, it's restless leg syndrome. Not specifically, but yeah, basically the same thing. Those medications, especially when they're administered to youth, have lifelong repercussions. Now, all of that aside, this feller whose account, you can see the picture on it on the front of here, he's actually been blocked from my channel. And so have a whole bunch of the accounts that he's made. But he also said that not all those accounts came from him. A lot of those, especially the really mean ones, were other people that were making those, and he was apologetic about those. Now that is making effective change. That right there, it doesn't matter that you have money or not. What matters is that you fessed up to something that most people wouldn't. I fess up to the things I do. When you go through and you take a look at the things that I got in trouble for, the ones I'm pissed off about are the ones where people tried to frame me for shit that I didn't do. There's also a lot of people who pretend that I'm a bad person because I'm honest about the things I did. When it comes to the crimes I actually committed, I literally committed every crime that I did commit intentionally. I couldn't see any other way, with all my friends telling me that they were too broke. They didn't know how to help. Well, everybody knows how to help in a situation where someone's being abused. Rule number one, you never make them turn it in alone, especially if they're called mentally ill. That's a death sentence for us. A lot of people keep telling me, oh, they're not allowed to do this and they're not allowed to do that because the law says this and the law says that. And I look up the laws and they're right about what they're telling me to a point. Yeah, the law says it's illegal to rape. But how many law enforcement officers have been arrested this year and incarcerated for rape? When you say somebody can't do that, oh, the cops can't do that. No, the cops can't do it legally. And that's where the evidence comes in handy. Can you prove what you're saying? The thing with Wolnez, he can't prove what he's saying, but I can prove what I'm saying. When I said that he called me names. And although I didn't call him all of those names back, the thing is that he called me those names first. And when you want to say something like two wrongs don't make a right, well, here's the thing, is if it's wrong for me to do it back, it was wrong for him to do it to begin with. Now, I didn't do that out of some evil retaliatory strike to try to destroy somebody's life. I didn't do that as an excuse to physically assault him. I didn't do that as an excuse to go beat on him or beat on his vehicle or try to break his phone for recording. And you notice while he was standing over there with his camera and he was recording, I was fine with that. Now, there are situations, for example, that I have actually pulled out my camera and yelled at somebody's house. Now, it wasn't intentionally yelling at their house. What I was doing was making sure that I documented the situation as it was. When I have to walk 13 extra blocks just to get my mail, especially with my disabilities, that's not an easy thing to do. When I have to do that just so that I won't offend one of my predators, that sucks too. When you say things like, I really don't care, I really don't care. Well, if you didn't care, you wouldn't take the time to troll. You wouldn't take the time to make those accounts. I am glad that you decided to talk to me like I was a human being. And you can definitely see the communication issues there. We actually got disconnected while he was speaking about himself. And, I do care about the people that I interact with. Even the trolls on my channel. Because here's the thing. People who are hurt people. And obviously there's a lot of people out there in pain. And a lot of people, they see me as someone that's easy to target, easy to take it out on, and it's no big thing. But to somebody like me, who's taken that not just from you and your friend, but taking it from people like Wolnez in real life, had to take that stuff from Molly, from Robert Farnsworth, from the police, I'm petrified. And the people who have seen these things, they have voices. Their voices do matter. But they don't matter one at a time. Alone, we're all nothing. When you say in the end, we really only have ourselves, well, that's not true for everyone. And it's not just ourselves that we have. Some people had a really good start. Some people turned 18 and got $1 million loan from their daddy. Some people turned 18 and were able to get a cosigner for their first apartment. Or were able to get a cosigner when they were even younger to get them a bank account so they could start working on that. Because here in America, what's on paper is the most important. Isn't that right? Does the paper say you're a doctor or no? The diploma doesn't say whether or not you were a C student, does it? Anyway, I do hope the best for everybody. And I don't hate the people, I hate the actions. Big difference. When people fess up to what they did, even if they talk down, even if they talk it down so that it's less harmful than it really is. The thing is, if I don't say something about that and I don't try to communicate that, then nobody learns from it. Now, obviously, this person taking their time to talk to me on their channel while they were making music and also talking about their own medical issues and things of that nature on a live video, and it is public. This is a human being and a person who is willing to speak publicly about being obviously sick or ill, as we should say. Now, when you've got medical illnesses and medical diagnoses, those are important, and they do affect your life. They do affect your ability to help others and to help yourself, and all to varying degrees. Sometimes you get a cold and you might be able to force yourself to get up and go to work every day, but after 2 weeks of having that cold and it doesn't go away, your body's exhausted and it's going to stop for a while. Whereas if you get the flu, that might kick you into the dirt immediately. You might have problems breathing, might have problems even being able to speak. And in both of those situations, you can get really bad pneumonia, but that flu, it hits a lot different than a cold and a lot harder. It's the same thing with mental issues too, or mental illnesses. If you go treating somebody with PTSD like they're schizophrenic, you're doing wrong. If you're going to treat somebody who's autistic like they're schizophrenic, you're doing wrong. Although you can be both. The laws that we have, they say that it's illegal for people to do this to somebody who's mentally ill. That includes if they're schizophrenic or autistic or have PTSD. But the abuse that I'm taking in real life is very, very real. And the stuff about Natalie Bollinger all over the internet is very, very real. And when people want to hurt me in real life, they try to use that stuff on the internet as an excuse. If people listen to the first 45 minutes of a 50-minute show about Natalie's death, if they don't watch the full 50 minutes, they don't hear the last 5 minutes where they say that Joseph Michael Lopez killed her. They all tell different variants of the story about me. None of them get it right. And none of them care. Anyway, I'm going to end this video. I don't want to force the feller to watch a 4-hour video. But your words do matter. Only if you use them. And the sooner you use them, the more likely it's going to make a difference. There's a lot of people who their solution for Wolnez is to shoot him, and I'm not okay with that solution. And a lot of people, their solution is for me to taser him, and I do have a taser, but I've never been able to bring myself to taser somebody with it. Well, it's sitting right here on my dash. Let me grab it out. Of course, it's been sitting in the condensation. I might zap the shit out of myself trying to use it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna hold it a little bit different. Let's see, turn it on. This is it. Oh, I forgot about that. I guess it's dead now. Likely because I've had it up in the condensation. I've also got a thing of bear mace. I'm just not okay with violence. I'm not okay with incessant trolling and bullying and harassment. That stuff on the internet with a bunch of different accounts, I've been dealing with that since before Natalie was killed. And yeah, that messes with me mentally, but it's actual predators in real life doing things exactly like that that are the major issue. For you guys, it's just messing with some idiot who's making his whole life public on YouTube. But the thing is, I never wanted to, and I still don't. I don't want to record Wolnez doing that shit. I don't want Wolnez doing that shit to begin with. I didn't want to document the shit going on with Natalie Bollinger or her family. I didn't want nothing to do with any of it. I literally drove 1,700 miles to get away from those people. And there's folks all over the world who have gotten a hold of me. Even the ones who have done real mean shit to me when they're in a messed up situation, I do worry about them. A woman named Dolene Khatib. That's what she goes by on Facebook. She lives in the West Bank. Now, although I've got my own political leanings and my own political beliefs, they don't include hating on Palestinians, and they don't include actually wanting people to be hurt. If I say something like that back to you, there's a reason for it. I want you to understand what it feels like when you do that. When you do something and you expect me to have no reaction to it, and then I do it back. Well, of course you're going to react. So I don't do these things out of malice or hatred. I do these things hoping that you'll recognize that it is harmful. That if I got onto your channel while you were making videos and typed a bunch of the meanest stuff I could possibly think to type, or made fake account after fake account after fake account, you wouldn't like it. There have been people who have been able to say that, or pretend in court without me, that I was threatening them because I said I wasn't capable of doing the things that they did to me. That I'm not willing to do the things that they did to me. And because I was illegally prevented from going to court, well, those people automatically win anyway. When it comes to your voice and my voice, they only matter if we use them. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. And of course, when you speak about how it's just you, yeah, well, you're a guy in the United States. That's a very likely thing to have happen as a guy here in the United States. To have nobody but you, to have nobody to advocate for you but you. We're supposed to have actual advocates to help us with these things, and those people aren't. Many of them are wanting to still work from home. When you need to turn them into their higher-ups, they just send you in a circle of phone calls of other agencies, or transfer you, or hang up. Anyway, I thank you for talking to me, and even though some of the stuff that you said sounded very callous and cold, I know what world we live in. I understand why you feel the need to be that way. Because although the Constitution says we the people, the reality sets in that you gotta survive, right? There's a lot of people that keep telling me that they have to accept death. They have to accept that they're gonna die sooner than they wanted to. That's because they want to live, and they have a reason to live. For me, what reason do I have? Why couldn't I trade whatever years I have left for somebody with cancer to stick around a few extra years? A lot of people came after me, came after my family. This feller, when he made this account and was getting a hold of me and got blocked, when he made an AI picture, he just typed in homeless something, finding a portal in a messy garage or a messy shop or something. It was an alright rendition. I gotta smoke 4 Aces tobacco. Roll your own cigarettes, you know? There's something myself and this feller have in common. We're both cigarette smokers. If I hadn't told on myself live on Facebook or live on YouTube, I wouldn't have ever been arrested for any of the crimes I committed. Thing is, I committed those crimes for a reason. It wasn't to get away. It was to force people to look at my evidence. Because nobody took it seriously, and the longer it takes them to take it seriously, the more of the abuse I have to endure. Well, Nez isn't the first, and he won't be the last. I'm going to have to deal with people like that for the rest of my life. Anyway, you know how we end these videos by now. Good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper. And your sister's keeper too. And no victim left behind.